You're listening to Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of ABK Media Group, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County every day at 9 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Good Morning Gwinnett. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney. So happy to be here with you this morning. We got some wonderful weather here in Gwinnett County. I think it's around 62 degrees, which is wonderful. I kind of figured it was kind of warm when I woke up this morning because I wasn't that hot. I wasn't that cold. So we got some great weather. I like to start off each show by giving a shout out to people helping people, because there's a lot of people out there that need our help, and there's a lot of great people out there that's doing a lot of great things, and I'm always so happy to find a nonprofit in our community that's doing great things. And today my shout out to people helping people goes to mendingthegap.org. What they do, they are a nonprofit organization that bridges the gap between adults and young adults and teens with older senior citizens. And I think this is such a great organization, because I remember when I was working at Prudential, there was a woman that used to call every day at 5 minutes to 3. So my work hours were 7 to 3. And every day, without fail, 5 minutes to 3, she would call in. And she was an older woman, and she would ask to speak to me. And everybody knew that they had to find me. Her name was Miss Fredrickson. They had to find me so that I could talk to Miss Fredrickson every day at 5 minutes to 3. Now, here's the crazy thing. I got up at 3 o'clock. The conversation normally lasted 15 or 20 minutes, but I think she just wanted to talk. And so I took that 15 or 20 minutes past the time I was supposed to get off to talk to her. Just because I know that a lot of times senior citizens feel alone and left out, especially those who don't really have family, or they live here and their families live somewhere else. So it's important for us to be able to, help them, support them. And so Mending the Gap bridges that gap between, youth and seniors, and they provide really great services. Like they have weekly game nights. They play bingo. They go exercise. They do arts and craft, gardening, Zooming, just to name a few. They even do a fashion show, which is so cool. And I think that's really nice. So if you want to support Mending the Gap, they are looking for donations, of course, of food, toiletries, your time, and of course your money. So go over to www.mending-the-gap.org. That's mending-the-gap.org. Support the organization because they're doing some great things with our seniors, and that's really cool, because one day you're going to be a senior, and hopefully I'm going to be a senior. I'm very close to being a senior right now, and hopefully, my family is around, but if they're not, it's so nice to know that there's organizations like Mending the Gap that are around, and they have this wonderful program called The Bridge, and they have an array of programs, but The Bridge is one where they actually connect the seniors with youth and other adults who want to support the organization. Check them out, mending-the-gap.org. I have a great guest with me today. We live in Gwinnett. Gwinnett is a great place to live, and we're always working on how to working towards making it an even better place to live. My guest today is going to talk to us about what she does in her organization to do that as well. Her name is Mrs. Marsha Anderson Bowmar. She is the executive director for Gateway 85 CID, and she's going to come to us today and tell us about what it means to be here in Gwinnett, what she does and her organization does, and also we're going to talk about the referendum that's coming up on March 19th. I spoke about this in a previous episode, and she's going to give us a little bit more information about that, because transportation is one of her focus areas. So without further ado, good morning, Marsha, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Audrey. How are you today?
I am great, actually. Had a long day yesterday, but I'm actually great today, so I'm happy about that. How about yourself?
Doing great. It's always a good day in Gwinnett.
Amen. Always a good day in Gwinnett. I landed here by osmosis, so I'm happy to be here. So tell us a little bit about Gateway 85 and what you guys do. But I know you focus on 4 areas, and those areas are transportation, security, beautification, and redevelopment. What does that actually mean, and what does Gate 85 actually do? Gateway 85.
Okay, thanks for asking. Yeah, that's a great question. So Gateway 85 is what is known as a community improvement district. And by state law, property owners are allowed to form these organizations They sign up and become members of this organization and volunteer to pay extra tax dollars that we then compile and leverage and work on projects to sow into the community to make it a better place. And so we have about 700 or so property owners in Gateway 80. On an annual basis, we get about $2.3 million in tax revenue. And then we partner with other great organizations like the Atlanta Regional Commission, the Gwinnett Department of Transportation, the Georgia Department of Transportation, the Georgia Road and Tollway Authority, the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, the State Road and Tollway Authority, whole host of partners to leverage those dollars into much, much more so that we can do a wide variety of projects. And as you mentioned, we do a lot of transportation projects. There is probably nothing more important to people than mobility choices. So how do I get to work? How do I get to school? How do I get to the doctor's office? How do I get to the grocery store? Fundamental questions we all have every single day. Well, we have a lot of people in our community who don't have personal vehicles. And so mobility choice is having a great sidewalk program. We've built over 14 miles of sidewalk as an organization. Mm-hmm. Having safe intersections. We've improved pedestrian crossings at many intersections. We've built bridges. We've worked on a lot of different kinds of transportation projects so that people can walk, they can bicycle, they can get to transit. They have a lot of different options for moving around both within our community and then, of course, beyond the borders of the community improvement district.
When I first moved here, someone had mentioned to me that there was not a lot of senior transportation for senior citizens. And so my brother and I had contemplated starting a transportation company just for seniors. Now that was pretty much 6 years ago. Has that part changed any? Do you work with helping provide transportation for seniors? Is that something that you cover on your organization?
We don't directly do that, but we do partner with Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County Transit has a senior transit program as well as a program for folks with physical disabilities. They're also working on a program right now. They're in a pilot phase of a program for what's called microtransit, kind of like Uber, except run by a transit agency. And they're experimenting with that program in Snellville. It's going extremely well. And once the pilot is over, they'll look at the results, and then the plan is to figure out how to offer that type of service around the county. So that will be another option for seniors to be able to get another transportation option. So there are a variety in Gwinnett County that are publicly provided, and so we just partner with those organizations that do that.
Okay, great.
We also do.
Go ahead.
You had asked about some of the other things we do. So the beautification that we do, everybody wants their front door, the area leading to their front door, to look nice, to look inviting. It makes people feel good. It makes them want to come and visit. Makes them, enjoy being there. And a community is no different than an individual. We want, a beautiful front door. We want our neighborhood to be clean. We want all those things that make it feel safe, that make it feel welcoming. And so we provide quite a bit of landscaping around the interchanges and also on the main roads, Jimmy Carter Boulevard, Beaveroon Road, Indian Trail Road, Buford Highway, to make the area look better. Mm-hmm. We also provide street sweeping services to keep it nice and clean, also that people will feel good about coming to visit us.
Now,
we also provide safety to go with that,
mm-hmm.
to make sure that the area is very safe for everybody who wants to live, work, play, learn, pray, whatever you want to do in our community.
Now, are these beautification services?
To feel safe.
I'm sorry. Are these beautification services only offered in commercial areas, or are there programs in place for residential owners as well?
That's a great question. So the community improvement districts are only allowed to have commercial property members. And so the services that we provide, we can only provide services in the public thoroughfares. We never go on to private property. So I would say the residential neighborhoods benefit because a lot of them are located on or immediately off of the main roads that we do landscape. So we don't directly provide services to residential properties, but they are in an area that is well taken care of and beautified because they're near commercial properties.
Okay, cool. Now I know you talked a little bit about security. I was at a restaurant here in Duluth recently, and they were telling me about some robberies in the area, and they hired a security officer to come out and sit in their parking lot to protect the citizens. I know that's a huge issue for a lot of people, safety for anybody anywhere pretty much, but I want to jump over to the referendum because I feel like a lot of people are still not accepting. And one of the issues I've heard is that they feel like it's going to bring in more unsavory people into Gwinnett because of the transit system. But you said that you focus a lot on security. Can you talk a little bit about that and, how you feel like that's going to benefit Gwinnett with the referendum and what can we help the people to do to feel a little bit more safe and like it's okay?
Sure. So let me just touch on the safety piece first, and then I'll loop in the transit part.
Okay.
So any crime is too much crime, but what you need to do as a community is to come together and to manage your community well. We have a great relationship with the West Side Precinct of Gwinnett County Police, which is located in our district, and we provide supplemental services where we have security forces that patrol the area randomly. There's no pattern, so you can't kind of guess when we're going to be there, which helps to increase the impact of the security forces. But we work very hard with them. And over the years that the CID has been in place, we have reduced crime to pretty minimal levels in the area. So it's an extremely safe area for the residents and for the commercial property owners. The transit, the myth that you just referred to is really an old myth. I think certainly in the community and the conversations I've been having in the education forums I've been hosting or visiting, people understand that is just not what transit is about. We're not going to find somebody taking a train to Gwinnett County or riding a bus to Gwinnett County to come steal something. That's just not what it's about. It's really about providing mobility choices. The MARTA system itself is the second safest large transit system in the country. So their safety record is pretty darn good. And working with the kinds of programs that we have out here, I don't see where transit would be anything but a good, safe mode of transportation. What we need as the population grows, as the density of businesses and people continue to increase, we just need choices. Not everybody's going to ride transit. Not everybody wants to drive a car. So we have a strong need, kind of going back to what I said at the beginning. People need to get to jobs. They need to get to doctors. They need to get to shopping places and schools, and they need to have choices about how to get there. So, I think that the projects that were identified in what's called the Connect Gwinnett Transit Plan are really good, thought out projects that do those kinds of things, that provide people access to the places that they need to go, provide businesses good access so that workers can get to the businesses. Workforce is a really big issue to make sure that people can get to jobs. So the transit referendum is giving the voters of Gwinnett the chance to make what I consider a generational change, a generational decision. Just like the the county commission probably 40 years ago made a huge decision to invest in safe water and a good sewer system, basic infrastructure. As a result, Gwinnett has been able to develop a very high quality community, a high quality of life. The transit that's being discussed now is kind of the next version of a good water system or a good sewer system. You also have to have a great transportation system. And the transit that's being discussed is really just a part of that.
You know, I think it's cool myself. I kind of think about Atlanta like New York. When I was living in New Jersey, even though I was literally 20 minutes away from New York, I would catch the train into New York because I just didn't want to drive in New York. And so sometimes I feel kind of like that about Atlanta. Like I want to go into Atlanta, but I don't want to sit in traffic. I don't feel like driving. And so I think it's a really great initiative. So I'm looking forward to that because I would love to just be able to park the car and jump on a train or a bus and go to Atlanta without having to worry about me driving in traffic. And, you know, I think it's great. So I'm all for it. So that's kind of cool. Now, I know that we talked about transit and beautification and security. Can you talk a little bit about redevelopment? What's happening there and what do you guys fit in there?
Sure. So one of the other reasons the CID is formed is to help transform properties that perhaps have kind of outlived their useful life. You know, projects that were built, buildings that were built in the 60s and 70s, you know, they weren't necessarily built to last 100 years. So a lot of them are reaching the end of their useful life. And the question is now that we're not the suburban place we were back in the 60s and 70s, what are really the right land uses around here? So we do a lot of work with both individual property owners, but we also do area-wide studies to look at what should the area really look like, you know, in the future. And then we work with individual property owners to help them figure out the path to redeveloping their properties. So we're working with one in particular right now. And one of the big challenges, well, I guess there are two challenges. One is parking, because they have an abundance of surface parking, but if they're going to build more buildings on their property, they need to perhaps consider building a parking deck and figuring out how to size it, how to afford to pay for it. And then also dealing with stormwater regulations. When those properties were built back in the 60s and 70s, the requirements for managing stormwater were pretty minimal. And that's not the case anymore. So there's a lot of cost involved in finding an appropriate solution and building the appropriate solution to allow them to do the redevelopment. We're working on a project right now to ultimately build a facility that would be large enough to help many properties in our area utilize that as their stormwater solution. So, you know, we try to facilitate, we try to convene experts and come up with solutions that can help a lot of the members in our CID so they can find that path to redeveloping their properties. The other very exciting thing happening in our area you may have heard about, there's a property at the interchange of Jimmy Carter Boulevard and I-85. When it was first opened, it was the Western Electric plant back in the old telephone days. And then it became Technologies, and now it's called OFS. OFS is the largest fiber optic cable producer, manufacturer in the world.
Wow.
And about 12% of the world's fiber optic cable is produced at that location.
Wow.
They just expanded. So that percentage is going to go up because they just built a second, much larger draw tower. So they'll be upping their production quite significantly. But they only occupy a small portion of the property on which their buildings sit. And so back in December, Gwinnett County purchased the 104 acres that surround this OFS facility. And there are a couple of things are going to happen there. One is there's a movie studio that's been operating there for quite a few years. And they've an agreement with that movie studio to stay there for at least the next 10 years. We love having the productions out here, and they're thriving. They're doing really well. So they'll be staying on a portion of the property. If the transit referendum is successful, the location for the multimodal transfer facility is on a portion of that property at Jimmy Carter Boulevard and Brook Hollow Parkway. So that will be a great use for a portion of that. And then the remainder of the property, the county will go out to the development community and solicit proposals for what would be appropriate uses on the remainder property. And we expect it will be some kind of mixed-use development, perhaps with high-end apartments, some office use, maybe a hotel, probably some retail. So that whole area will see a great transformation over this coming decade. And then, of course, that will trickle through the rest of the nearby community. Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. I was just about to say that's pretty exciting. I get excited every time I hear about the new, especially the mixed use developments where there's apartments and retail all together, because I like those. I think they're very cool and modern. Like if I was a single woman, that's probably where I would be living in one of those locations, because I just think they're exciting. I think you guys do a lot of great work over there, and I see you have some really cool partnerships, and there's just a lot going on. As you were talking, I was thinking about all of the jobs that's going to be created because of these new developments that are coming out. And so that makes it better for the economy as well, and the county as well, with the job development and creation and things like that. Now, I know you said that your organization is a participation of public and private entities. How does one become a member of the Gateway 85 CID?
Great question. So you have to own a piece of property within our boundary. And then all you have to do is call us up and we'll bring you a form and you can sign on the dotted line and become a member of the CID. What that means is then that on your tax bill, there'll be a small additional amount that is paid once a year to the county and then transferred to us. And that's the money that we use as our baseline funding to attract additional funding from our partners. So we leverage those dollars. For every dollar that our property owners pay in, we typically garner about $6 of other people's money to be able to do all the projects that we work on.
I think that's pretty interesting how that's done. I like that. I mean, when I think about small businesses, I wish there was something like that to help fund small businesses that way, where people could add 3 cents to your tax bill and help a small business grow. That's kind of cool. So that's really nice. Thank you so much. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate the fact that you were here to share all of this great information about what you guys do, because I'm always looking to find out more about Gwinnett and what resources we have here to help our homeowners and business partners. And because the show is a global show, anyone who may be thinking about moving to Georgia, we always want to put Gwinnett out there as one of the places to come to. I got here by, visiting and landed in Lawrenceville, and I love it here, and I talk about it all the time. Now I'm recruiting family members to come here as well. So, thank you for that. And some are our business owners and some are developers. So just to have this information to share with a lot of people in our communities, but around the world, is very helpful to people in making decisions about whether or not they want to come here. So thank you for that. Tell people how they can get in contact with the CID and you if they have questions or want to become a member.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to find us is we have a website, gateway85.com. We're also on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Our Instagram feed is really fun because we do a lot of food adventures. We have a lot of great international restaurants, and so we post a lot of great food pictures. But we welcome folks to find us. All of our other contact information, emails, and phone numbers are on the website and on social media. So check us out and give us a call. We love meeting with people who are interested in our area. And if we can ever be of help, especially if they're interested in relocating or opening a business, we love to help folks succeed in that.
Well, thank you again so much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, my guest this morning was Ms. Marsha Anderson Bomar. She's the Executive Director of Gateway 85 CID. She's provided you with her information. Be sure to go over there and ask your questions if you're thinking about coming to Gwinnett, or if you're already in Gwinnett, but you need some resources to help you move your business forward and your life here in Gwinnett. Listen, if you missed the episode, be sure to go over to goodmorninggwinnett.com to check out our past episode. I interviewed a really nice entrepreneur on the last episode. Check out his interview and any other interviews that you missed. I'll be back again tomorrow with another exciting guest. Until next time, make it great. Thanks again, Marsha. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Audrey.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in daily at 9 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you miss an episode, go to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com to catch up. If you like this episode, go ahead and subscribe to the show now and share it with your friends.